Hey, welcome back. So, we're going to be taking a look at the Doors Sci-Fi collection here for March 2023. It's been newly added. So, this collection will bring with it 389 sounds, and there's three Reaper sub-projects contained within there. So, it's a nice little kind of collection. But I found that a lot of the components are actually they mix and match very well. So, I created a bunch of different doors, and I intermingled a lot of these different sounds to get a ton of coverage that I didn't feel like I had to tinker around with a whole lot to be satisfied. So smaller collection in terms of if you're comparing to some of the other ones, but it met everything that I needed it to be able to do. Looking at the main Doors Sci-Fi project here, so you have basically three primary sub projects. You have the actual Doors project, then you have the mechanics, which is going to have a lot of things like key presses and a couple other interface type sounds are in there as well. Inside the miscellaneous project, there's just like an airlock. There's like a hanger gate, so just kind of bigger things than your standard door that you'll be passing through as a player. Jumping into the main doors project. All right, so let's just get down what the different types of doors actually are here. So we have a sliding door, which I'll just play the open sound quickly for each of these. Sliding metal door. And then an iris. Then we also have some additional sort of sounds. We have a force field activation and force field deactivate. And of course, you have a variety of variations for each. So sliding open. And there's also the closed sounds. There's also locking and unlocking. So kind of go through and give you a quick preview of each of those. As you can probably notice, there's a lot of different layers. There's a lot of different, components to each layer type. So we just to kind of go through quickly, we have a basic layer, and then we have details, which is like an air, and then another details layer, which is servo and electronics. And then what else do we have down here? We have a weight layer, which is just kind of more of an emphasis for some of the heavier doors, and then a cinematic layer. One thing that's easy to just kind of pick out between the regular sliding door and then when you move over to the metal sliding door, you just see an increase in these metal type of layers within that basic layer. So that's a big, obvious difference. You're just kind of peeking at it. So you could take a closer look at some of whatever the source material is if you're looking to alter some of these doors, or if you wanted to maybe come up with your own source recordings from your personal library, if you wanted to change it up a little bit or create a little bit more variety. Pretty easy to figure out a strategy for doing that. Getting into Wise, one thing I played around with quite a bit once they were in there was doing some time stretching on some of these, so that if you have a bunch of different types of doors in your project, you can just take this all the material that's in here, and you can cover quite a few doors without having to go and make a whole bunch of different assets and not having to do too much tweaking individually. Let's listen to some of these individual layers and just get a sense of the makeup of some of these door components. And then we have, looks like most of the servos. We have a lot of servo stuff going on here with this iris. We also do have this bit of enrage automation or parameter here that's set up for you to play around with, which is a macro. It controls the rate of an LFO for the door open and closes for the iris. There's not really like a global feature in here that controls like the overall sound of these doors. So this is just kind of the one small little macro that is provided here for you. All right, going to the miscellaneous sci-fi doors project. So mainly what we have, there's a hanger gate, there's an airlock, varying size, open and closes, of course, and then there's this docking sort of sound. So there's bigger sort of door type sounds, which again I used in my project, kind of intermingled with some of the other door sounds. So we'll just kind of take a quick listen, have a preview of these. Next up would be the mechanics project. So let's have a listen to this. So there's not really a ton of material in here. It's kind of just a little nice added bonus that these are even here, in my opinion. So there's some nice little interface, beeping type of sounds. So beep small, beep medium, and then some keypad sort of clicking type sounds. Now check out these keypad sounds. So all in all, pretty good. But of course, there are additional interface collections. So if you really needed more interface stuff, then you probably would want to look elsewhere. But this is just kind of nice. It's quickly accessible. I actually appreciate that they added it in here because they really probably didn't have to. So before we wrap up, here's a quick playthrough and a couple more additional previews. Just give you another nice overall sense of how the collection sort of sounds. All right, so thank you for watching. Be sure to like the video and subscribe so that you can see the new collections as they come out. I really had a lot of fun constructing some of these doors. I picked out a random example from some Unreal assets that I had. And so I wasn't really prepared to see how the collection would fit together. So hodgepodging these door sounds together and playing around with the lock and unlock mechanisms, and just it was actually really fun to spend some time in Wise seeing how I could manipulate these things. So it was a nice little exercise as far as that went.